photographers. Look what arrived today on loan from Fujifilm Canada. This is the FT XH file transmitter battery grip. Fujifilm has not paid me. This channel has no sponsors, and you won't see ad interruptions from YouTube while watching. And on loan means I'll be sending it back when the review is done, and they don't get to review the script or the video before I post. Now, the FT XH is an accessory that enables and enhances connectivity for this camera. And in my initial reviews of the XH2 and XH2S, I skipped over the networking tab in the menu, and now that the grip is available, that's what I'm going to demonstrate in this video. Now, the network grip works with both of these cameras, and you'll also need 1 or 2 NPW235 batteries, the same as the one in the camera. Now, the tray slides out, but before you put the batteries in, remove the cap from the bottom of the camera, exposing the connection port. And there's a slot to store it. Add the batteries, then pop the tray back in. Twist and lock to close. Then remove the cap from the grip. Where do I put this? With the batteries, it adds slightly over 500 grams of weight and about 5 centimeters of height. Line up the connector and mount the grip and turn the lock to secure it. On the top side display, you'll see the status of all 3 batteries. Now, incidentally, although the features of the grip are available with only 1 battery, it won't work without batteries. Now, the camera's configuration now works in either landscape or portrait mode. And 4 of the 5 top right side controls are duplicated. Video start-stop is missing, but in video mode, you're likely using the shutter to release, start, and stop. Anyway, the front and rear control dials are replicated, and then on the back, a duplicate focus positioning joystick, focus and exposure lock keys, the quick menu key, and a power mode control. Flip the screen out and around, and you are the master of portrait mode. Now, there's also a tripod mount and a strap port. The USB-C port, labeled mobile, is used to charge the batteries. You still use the camera's USB port to power the camera while shooting. And all of that is pretty identical to the VGXH, which sells for about half the price. So what's this for? As the name suggests, to transfer files to an FTP server, either with a wired Ethernet connection, a Wi-Fi connection, or tethered to a phone. And for tethered shooting, more options that provide a more reliable connection. And it works as a remote control using a browser interface on a tablet, phone, or computer. That supports up to 4 cameras enabled with FT XH grips for control and simultaneous recording. And I'm going to start with that, as it's a feature that's not available elsewhere. So first, make sure both camera and grip are using the latest firmware versions. In May 2023, that's version 2 on the XH2 and the just released version 2 on the grip. For the XH2S, the version is 4. As always, the easiest way to update a Fujifilm camera is with the Camera Remote app, which downloads, transfers, and installs the update. Updating the file transmitter itself requires the older style. Download the update file, copy to an SD card, and start the camera in update mode. Now, although I only have 1 camera to demonstrate, I'm really excited by the ability to manage 4 cameras for remote recording. I'm using an Ethernet cable to connect the camera grip to an Ethernet hub. Use the Network menu, create connection setting. There are a few pre-configured settings, but they're not ready to be used yet. Start with the wizard. Scroll down to Remote Rec. The options with the label FT are available only when the grip is connected. Unless you already have one, create new Step 1 connection. Wireless is an option, but I'm using wired LAN. Create New again. For IP address, select Auto, Manual if you're assigning an IP address, then Next to name the connection. Wired LAN seems clear. Then provide a name and password. You'll need this to log in to the remote session. Not sure why I can't see the password while entering. Set. And I'm selecting HTTP. If the computer you're using has a security certificate, then you could select HTTPS for secure. Confirm and name this configuration. It is getting a little confusing. Luckily, only have to do that once. And when it's done, the connection can be selected from the network connections. But first, scroll down to Information, Hardware, and make a note of the wired LAN IP address 192.168.2.191. On the camera screen, you'll see some new icons, the connection across the top, just left of center, and a remote video icon on the left. Back to Network Connections and select Remote Record. Use a supported browser, this is Safari, and enter the IP in the address bar. Just the numbers, the browser will do the rest. Then enter the username and password you created to sign in to the camera. This interface supports up to 4 cameras selected from the thumbnails at the bottom of the screen. Now, in addition to record, start, and stop, the menu on this screen is quite extensive. The exposure mode, all 3 exposure settings, white balance, film sim, as well as manual focus can be selected and adjusted. Now, on the menu, there are options to show the histogram and mic levels, as well as prioritization, quality, or real-time display. There are 3 options for the camera info display. In the bottom left, a settings button opens a menu containing the camera settings needed for a video shoot. I'm not going to describe them all in this video. They include the video settings, image quality, focus, audio, and timecode, pretty much as you find them on the camera itself. The settings can be backed up to the computer with a date and time label and can later be restored. With multiple cameras, settings can be copied from one to the other. Now, for a multi-camera shoot, this feature really improves your workflow. Even with a single camera, this is a considerably better remote interface than the Camera Remote smartphone app's version. Now, for tethered shooting, the presets already include USB connections. And there are lots of photo apps that support tethered shooting. I'm using the free Fujifilm XH plugin for this demonstration. And this is version 1.24 for Mac OS. Select your destination folder and use Preferences file type to configure the file format to be saved on the computer and the camera. Use Preferences to select USB, then Show Window. On the Network tab, one preset is for tethered shooting with USB. Select Connection Setting, press OK to pass the alert, and select USB Tether Shooting Auto. Connect the cable to the camera, not the grip. The camera appears in the XH pop-up window. Incidentally, the difference between auto and fixed is what happens when the camera and computer are disconnected. In auto, images taken are saved on the camera. In fixed, images are not saved. And for me, USB tethering only worked with the USB-C to USB-C cable connecting to the USB-C port on my computer. Now, luckily, there's also a wireless option. Go back to the connection wizard. Create New to set the COM setting and select Wireless LAN. Create New and use Access Point setting. As it's not available while an HDMI connection is active, these screens are slightly lower quality. Simple setup uses WPS, if that's available on your router, but manual setup is nearly as easy. Select your network from the list, enter the password. The camera connects, registration completed. Next, sets the COM name and save. Then name the connection and save. When the connection is started, the camera network icon shows orange and then green to show the wireless transfer is active. In Exaquire's Preferences, select Network and search within Segment. A few seconds later, the Exaquire banner confirms the connection is active, and when a photo is taken, it appears and is transferred to the computer. Now, incidentally, this setting remains active in the camera and will restart the next time the camera is powered up. If you want to stop that, select Universal from the list. Now, for a wired connection, connect the Ethernet cable. The setup is nearly the same, except this time use wired, a setting exclusive to the grip. Same settings in Exaquire. The connection icon is slightly different for the wired connection. Again, it turns green when the connection is established. Now, to transfer files using FTP, use the wizard to create an FTP transfer. Create New. I'm selecting the wired LAN connection we've already created. Next, create a new FTP setting. If you have a secured server, you'll need to select the appropriate type. I'm using a public test server for this demo. You'll need the address of the server, the port number, that's usually 21, information about a proxy server if you have one. Now, most FTP servers are active, username, and password. Then name the connections you've set up. When that's done, the camera verifies the connection and you're ready to send your files. Use FTP options to select specific images. One or more images can be selected. Follow the on-screen prompts to start the transfer, and the upper left FTP icon shows the transfer status. There are settings to auto-transfer. And you can create captions. Up to 8 captions can be saved. And there are more transfer option settings. And here you'll find the ability to load a root certificate from a memory card. There is one more feature here to establish a connection to Adobe's Frame.io cloud collaboration service. It enables virtual participation in a studio shoot for participants who can't be there in person. I don't have an account and didn't try that. And I should warn you that particularly if you're trying these things for the first time, and if you're not as well versed in some of the black arts of networking and connectivity, that you may have challenges. The Fuji Guy's YouTube channel covers the basics to get you started. So I now feel like I get it, but lots of patience and persistence got me here. I'm not yet fully confident. These won't be techniques that are part of my daily workflow. That said, nice to have these advanced features and functions available. Now, this stuff goes back to Fujifilm Canada. I am not paid or sponsored by any company. My revenue comes from Google Ads and your kind super thanks. I do read and reply to all civil comments and relevant questions. And thanks for finding the time to watch today. Stay safe.